Hey guys, it's Scott here. Look, maybe you're a property investor, or you're looking at getting your first property. Maybe you're in business, you're growing a business right now, you're an established business, you want to launch a business. Maybe you're just doing life. You know, that can have all sorts of challenges. But if you don't know me, just tell you a little bit about me. I born in a small town in New Zealand and grew up single mum. My mum's a single mum. She came over to Australia, reunited with dad for a little bit, loved Australia, came out, grew up in Western Sydney. Wasn't always easy, went through a bit of bullying when I was young, but you know, got through it being the new kid in the school and all that kind of thing. And basically never really taught much about money, about business, any of those things. Never had mentors. And I just thought as a young kid, man, my goal was to make 50 grand a year. I thought if I could make 50 grand a year, I would have really made it. I'll buy a car, I'll have a family, I'll buy a home, I'll pay it off. Maybe I'll get a pool. Maybe I'll go on some holidays. Maybe I could afford some of that camp gear that other people had, take my kids out on little camping trips. Ended up having 4 children. Yeah, I know that sounds crazy. My daughter today is 24. And I've got 3 sons, 19 all the way through to 22. So I've been really blessed, you know. But, you know, why should you listen to me? Well, I learned some things that'll be able to turn my life around. And in the last 6 years, I've been able to get 16 properties. So just in the last 6 years, I've been able to get 16 properties. Look, for some people, that's a big achievement. I know I've met plenty of people now. It's a relatively small achievement, but, you know, I've learned some things in building up those 16 properties. And what I've done is I started a property investment company, and over the last number of years now, I've helped 500 people invest. I've been involved. It'd have to be more than 250,000, almost 250 million, almost $300 million dollars worth of property transactions. That's a lot of experience. I'm partnered up with Australia's #1 property researcher, Liana Pan, retired actuary and data scientist, and you know, with her phenomenal ability to predict the property market, our ability to put together group negotiated discounted property deals, we've been able to fast track our property portfolios at lightning speed. So it's been a great journey. Now, I wanted to share with you in this video 2 things. The first thing is the power of 6.8. This is a really key number for anyone in property. 6.8. So we get asked all the time, how much money can I expect to make in property? How does it work? What can I do? Well, the baseline number that you work everything off is 6.8. Maybe write that down, remember that number. But 6.8 is the 25-year long-term average annual capital growth rate for Australia, nationally across the whole country. That is the average annual growth rate, 6.8. Now, if you've got a property 6.8 and it grows at 6.8% over 10 years, it'll double in value almost in 10 to 11 years. So you buy a property for $500,000, you hold it for 10, 11 years, it grows at 6.8%. Your money will double from 500,000 to $1 million. So that's where we get this saying that property doubles in value approximately every 10 years in Australia. It's true if you get the average number. This saying that property will double approximately every 10 years in Australia. It's really windy here, so if that affects the microphone, apologies for that. But the information is really important, so stay with me. So when you're planning out your portfolio, you got to understand with property, it's a long-term game. You know, there are ways of speeding it up. You can do development, you can find properties, you can add value. There's all types of things that you can do, but you got to know all the math around all of those strategies. I find that most people don't understand the math. They go into the strategy based on a high-level thing that they've heard. Then they discover the math during the strategy and come unstuck, because a lot of the math is based on assumptions. What's sitting behind the assumptions? Most assumptions have what I call float. They can move. So say, for example, you say, my assumption on this property is it'll get $500 a week rent, but that could float, right? It's a prediction of something in the future. You might get 480, 490 in the future. You might get 520, 530, 550. it's hard to be very, very precise. So when you do any of your mathematical equations for any of your strategies, when you look at the underlying assumptions, you've got to make sure that you've factored in a worst case and a best case, and make sure that you can take the worst case scenario. Okay, so that's a very, very important tip. But what I want you to know is that 6.8% is the magic number. That's the average number. So it's like if you grew up in Australia for most of your childhood like I did, we have swimming carnivals, you know. You imagine you're in a swimming carnival, 10 kids are swimming in that swimming carnival, you come fifth. You don't come first, second or third, you come fifth. That's kind of like getting 6.8%. So it's pretty hard to muck that up. There's a few general rules that'll increase your probability of getting 6.8%. And there are some rules that if you don't obey, you'll probably get less. Here's the thing. Even if you buy an investment property and get less than 6.8%, say you get 5, say you get 5.5, say you get 4.5, that will probably have been better than doing nothing, okay? So don't be afraid of investing. Do your research. My business partner is the #1 researcher in the country. She's coming out with a book shortly, actually, on all of her research hacks. A lot of research you can get for free on the internet. So we're going to put together a resource for that. Shoot me up if you want to go on the list to get that when it comes out. A lot of the resources are for free, but there's a lot of data that's not for free. You've got to pay tens of thousands of dollars to get this data. And we do that. We spend hundreds of thousands of dollars every year just on acquiring data. But not only that, traveling around the country and doing on-the-ground research to back up and verify everything that we see and know through the numbers. Okay, and property is a contact sport. Property is a people sport. There's always people between you and the property, sitting behind the property. You've got to have relationships. You've got to, if you want the discounted deals, if you want the stuff that's off market, you've got to know people, and that's what I've learned, and that's what initially got me into starting my own property investment company, because I wanted to get inside the deal. You know, I'm a bit of a control freak, and that has held me back a lot of my life, but it's also helped me a lot of my life, and I've kind of embraced the little control freak that's in me, and I like to get inside the deal. I like to deal with the people. I like to see the underlying numbers. I like to pull things apart, and I like to be in control of the negotiation. And I feel that I'm gonna fight harder. I'm gonna be more creative at finding a positive outcome for me, and that means obviously my community, my clients, my people, than anyone else, right? So, I mean, this is my obsession. Property is my obsession. Multiplying money through property has become my obsession. I hang a lot of my significance on it. I'm out to sort of maybe a bit of chip on my shoulder, prove to the world that I'm good at something. Don't come to me for relationship advice, but when it comes to property, that's something that I absolutely want to hang my hat on, as being the top expert in the country. So 6.8, remember that number. It's very, very important. So if your borrowing capacity right now is $1 million, $2 million, if you're invested that whole 1 million, hold it for 10, 11 years, your 1 million becomes 2 million, but you had the power of leverage, so you only had about $150,000 in the deal, right, to borrow the 1 million. So you got $150,000 in the deal. You've got $1 million growing at 6.8%, 10, 11 years later, you've made $1 million, but you made $1 million against your $150,000 cash in the deal. It's almost, okay, it's like a 750,000 to almost 1,000% return on your money. Okay, so you can't recreate that in any other asset class. That's why we say property is the safest way to use the most powerful investing forces that there are, leverage and compounding. Okay, so that's the first thing I wanted to talk to you about, 6.8. Now the second thing that I wanted to talk to you about is, you know, I've been a single dad. I've had custody. I've had care. I've had care of my children now, on and off, you know, for 10 years on my own. Not a lot of family over here in Australia. Mum not always well all the time. She spent a significant amount of time in hospital. I've always relied on my mum. I love my mum, even when she's been in hospital and not there for me. physically or even really verbally to speak to. She's been my strength. I love you, Mum. If you're watching this, really, really love you. Thank you for everything. You know, there's 5 things that I do to get through life. 5 things that I do every day to get through life. And yeah, I know there's all this positive thinking, stay positive, but let's be realistic. Life is gonna smash